Where's the 11-3?
It is off the approach end of runway 33. Approach end of runway 33. Helicopter crash.
The rescue mission in the Potomac River near Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. is now a massive recovery operation after a plane collided mid-air with an Army Black Hawk helicopter last night.
I was staying on the rooftop of my building with some neighbors, and we have a direct sight going down to the airport so we can see everything clearly. We were just talking. Next thing you know, I heard a loud explosion. I looked to the left, saw just a big ball of fire, and then wreckage just falling down towards the river. And my neighbor hollered out, "Oh my God, that's a plane."
So somewhere around 8:50 p.m., I hear two bombs. It's not like any bombs I've heard before, something I've never heard before in my life. And they were like seconds apart. Immediately, I looked up the window, and there were like some smokes at the south side of Reagan Airport.
No one on board either aircraft survived. The work to recover the wreckage from the Potomac is underway. The jet fuselage was found upside down in 3 sections in the river. American Airlines Flight 5342 departed from Wichita, Kansas with 60 passengers and 4 crew members on board. It was approaching the runway at Reagan National when the collision occurred.
At 8:58, the first units arrived on the scene and found an aircraft in the water and began rescue operations. This incident has grown. There's currently about 300 responders working. We have boats from all throughout the region, police and fire boats.
This was a training mission. The air traffic control tower specifically asked, it's reported, did ask the helicopter if the helicopter had this flight, this American Airlines flight in sight. That's very important. That's very telling. It's a key piece of evidence because the aircraft, the commercial passenger service aircraft, are always under full air traffic control.
14 skaters returning home from the National Development Camp put on by U.S. figure skating were lost in the plane crash.
Of those 14 skaters, 6 were from the Skating Club of Boston. 2 coaches, 2 teenage athletes, and the athletes' moms. These kids and their parents, they're here at our facility in Norwood 6, sometimes 7 days a week. It's a close, tight bond, and I think for all of us, we have lost family.
An investigation into the crash has begun.
We are going to leave no stone unturned in this investigation. We are going to conduct a thorough investigation of this entire tragedy, looking at the facts.
But U.S. President Donald Trump suggested Democrats, DEI policies, air traffic controllers, and even the personnel flying the helicopter could be to blame for the crash. He implied without evidence that federal diversity efforts were at fault.
On DEI and the claims that you've made, are you saying this crash was somehow caused and the result of diversity hiring? And what evidence have you seen to support these claims?
It just could have been. We have a high standard. We've had a much higher standard than anybody else. And there are things where you have to go by brain power. You have to go by psychological quality. And psychological quality is a very important element of it. These are various very powerful tests that we put to use, and they were terminated by Biden.
His claims getting criticism and pushback.
It's one thing for internet pundits to spew off conspiracy theories. It's another for the President of the United States to throw out idle speculation as bodies are still being recovered and families still being notified. It just turns your stomach.
Meanwhile, earlier today, the U.S. Transportation Secretary saying he thinks the incident was preventable.
Last night, if you live in the D.C. area, you would know that this was a clear night last night. The helicopter was in a standard pattern. If you live in the D.C. area, you'll see helicopters up and down the river. This flight pattern is seen oftentimes when you live in D.C. This was a standard flight pattern last night as well. The American Airlines flight coming into land was in a standard flight pattern as it was coming into DCA. So this was not unusual.
People at Reagan National Airport expressed nervousness, but a willingness to still travel after flights resumed late this morning.
It's a sad day for those families and all those involved, and I wouldn't be lying if I was a little nervous to fly today and come back on Sunday, but you know, you have to have faith that the airport and the pilots will have your safety at best and wouldn't let you fly.